Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do a lot of beer stuff here, mostly review stuff. We have a few favorites we do. Mystery beers, that's one of the favorite ones. Podcasts, we don't do a ton of, but we have some coming up. It should be quite fun. We love those, but, I got a 1.5-year-old, and it's kind of hard to get out and about and do that, but one of our favoriter, is that a way to say things? Is old beer. That's what we have right here. We got a little bit of The Brewery Grey Monday, 2014 edition. I have not had this beer probably since like 2015. When I used to, I hooked up with a crew out in like northeastern Pennsylvania, and we used to have these kind of like beer shares and stuff like that. And there was a bunch of people that were in like the Brewery Hoarder Society, which is the only way you could get these back then. I was privy to, Grey Monday or whatever, Grey Monday, Black Tuesday, Mocha Wednesday, I believe it is. They had this whole kind of weekly series going on from the brewery, and I always really, really adored them. But, as time has gone on, the covetedness of brewery big beers like this, because I think this is like 18% or something like that. Jesus Christ, 18.5%. And beers like that just kind of lost a little bit of luster. Not a lot of people kind of purchase them, nor do I think the brewery produces them to the same effect. I could be wrong, but a lot of their stuff has ended up in cans. Time has gone on. There's this bottle shop kind of sort of close to me. I think one of the owners, I could just be banging stuff up here, but I think one of the owners used to be just a beer hoarder and is just slowly like just putting his cellar in there. I don't know why they're, what's going on. But I bought this on a shelf, off of a shelf. It's just a shelf. There was a bunch of them. I could have bought multiples. Sitting on a shelf at a place for $19.99. I think these retailed for like $30 or something. Maybe they were $20 back then. I don't know. But for something like this, again, barrel-aged beer with hazelnuts, it's not necessarily a long-haul ager. You're talking about something that is 2014, it's 2022, 8 years old. But for $20, that's just not even like, if I didn't buy it, I kicked my own ass. And they had a bunch of stuff there, so I'm going to go back there and grab some more. So we're going to dive into it and see what's what. So we have Grey Monday from the brewery. As you can see there, over here in the corner, you have your little 2014 edition. They actually have like an etching. I don't think you guys are going to be able to make it out on camera, because it's actually really hard to just see in general. But there's like an etching like right there. That gives the exact date, but we'll deal with just the 2014 on the front. My favorite part about these old ones, contains alcohol. It sure does, because it is 18.5%. Grey Monday is an imperial style aged in bourbon barrels with hazelnuts, originally brewed for our molecular gastronomy dinner at the Beechwood Barbecue. This decadent version of Black Tuesday is brewed with Oregon-grown roasted hazelnuts. So, barrel-aged stout with hazelnuts. Placentia, California. Grey Monday is the beer you need to kickstart your week, and is meant for sharing with family and friends in your time of need. It will age gracefully for many decades of economic fluctuations, so it should be good. And best stored in cellar at 55 degrees. We're serving this, they say serve at 55. I'm probably serving this close to like 50. I want to see how it changes. I want to see how it opens up. Classic brewery labeling. I've always really have dug their kind of label format. It has stood the test of time. It's still really, really sexy. Back when wax was not that common too either. So, yeah. 1999. I don't even know what to say about that. So let's dive into this. These are like proper waxed. They're long haul agers. The wax has always been like really, really, really airtight, but easy to remove. It's almost the wax served a purpose as opposed to just being marking that the beer was worth money or fancy. As you can see, cap comes off pretty damn quick, and let's put it in our Novaria S glass. This is one of my favorite glasses to drink stouts out of. So stouts, Belgians, darks, big beers. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to give myself the pour that I gave myself the other time. I did one of these. What did I do? I forget what I... Ooh. Oh, my little thingy here doesn't fit. Where's my my backup cap? Where is my backup cap? My little... And this is a little yellow bottle stopper. I do not know. I should have known that. I know there are bigger, fatter bottles. I'm not going to worry about it now. Let's do the review. It's not going to have a ton of carbonation on it, which is why I should cap it, but yeah, what are you going to do? So give it a whirl. Keep that in frame. Yeah, not much of a head on it. There was one when we poured it, but now it just has that just still, almost still like kind of coloration to it. It looks more like barley wine to me than a stout, but that's a lot of the breweries' beers. They tend to come off that way, and that they have this kind of rich mahogany with a little doo-doo brown color as opposed to like a jet black, especially with something hitting 18.5%. So it looks the part of a big beer. Let's put it that way. Let's see him get a nose. Like I wasn't going to be able to get a nose off of an 18.5% brewery beer and bourbon barrel aged with hazelnuts. Oddly enough, I do think there is a big nutty kind of hazelnutty component to this. I mean, bourbon abounds, big, huge, rich. Doesn't come off hot on the nose, at least. You know it's a big beer, but it's not like fire. It comes off very much like barley wine, almost like a barley wine stout mix, or even a barley wine kind of Belgian quaddy kind of mixture. Rich kind of chocolates, but there's this little bit of plummy notes. There's multiple levels of chocolate, mostly south of milk, but there is some sweetness to it. That bourbon comes off rich and red and cherry-like. And there's that big, huge nutty component that kind of just adds to that malt base on there. Just kind of brings this rich kind of, like Nutella is kind of where my brain is leaning on this. But oxidative notes, not really much there, if anything, outside of the typical stuff you get from a barrel-aged beer. But then again, you're talking about 18.5%. Wasn't expecting that. It really is starting to flirt, or it probably always did, but especially now with my brain not having drank one of these in quite some time, flirting on that kind of, is it utopias or is it beer kind of beer liquor, malt, a true malt-esque kind of liquor in a very, very fun way. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. It's delicious. I mean, this is, this is what everybody's doing, or trying to do. I shouldn't say what everybody's doing. A lot of the Kunins, the VSOJ from Revolution, those kind of beers, those big burly barley wines, with this super rich, dense characteristic that are coming out in $40 to $50 4-packs of 12-ounce cans or bottles. That's what this is. You're going to be really hard-pressed to find something markedly better than this. Now, sure, you might be able to find something at 12% that tastes like this, and that's where, typically I would get on my high horse about ABV mattering, but, you're drinking a barley wine at this point. It doesn't really care, or Imperial Stout, barrel-aged. First thing that comes off is just this rich kind of spread mixture of just that grandma candy thing that I talk about when I have these really great beers. There's dark chocolate. Excuse me. Double sneezer. Milk chocolate. Or semi-sweet chocolate, dark chocolate. Caramel mixed with chocolate. That raspberry, cherry kind of jamminess is in there. There's this huge nutty component vacillating between hazelnut. It's not really getting the peanut butter, but you're getting multiple levels of nuttiness in there, from almond to not peanut butter, but a slight peanut characteristic. So there's a big, huge nutty component. There's a nice, rich, multiple level chocolate component to it. You can tell there's this subtle roastiness to it. It is probably a gigantic roastiness, but the beer is 18.5%, so the sweetness trumps everything. And then when you start to go away from the actual beer itself, you lean into a little bit more kind of those barrel flavors. You get a nice barrel char, a little smokiness, a little kind of charry, kind of that scraping, that barrel kind of campfirey kind of charriness, with that big kind of red fruitiness, that kind of, I think a little bit comes from the stout portion of the show that is probably more akin to a Russian Imperial Stout. It has to be something big, bold, and bittering to hold up to something this sweet. And then when you combine that natural kind of cherry note that you would get from a bigger Russian Imperial Stout and you kind of pair it with that big bourbon characteristic, just kind of all rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing where everything gets a little bit more bigger and bolder. It's a big beer. You can tell there's a big, huge alcohol component to this, but it's still drinkable. I think that's always been one of the brewery's kind of coolest tricks they've always pulled off, is that even though their beers are big, bold, and rich, they tend to come off silky and smooth and drinkable, even though they're like crazy high ABV. That's good, man. It reminds me of these beers from back in the day. And like I said, I think if you were to do one of these kind of blind against the VSOJs of the world, those beers, the Kunin beers, those kind of beers, Heritage Dogs, I think you end up, it's the same kind of thing. I think, in a different universe, the brewery markets themselves differently. And not that they've marketed themselves bad. I think they found their niche and they produce amazing beers, even though they're a little bit kind of on the, what's the word I'm looking for, unappreciated side because of how available their beers are now. That they're a little bit more coveted now than they were. Now, how do I phrase that? The same level of covetousness that those, Revolution, hammering on the VSOJs of the world, it would be that level of covetousness. But, looking at something like this, granted, it's an anomaly. Not everybody's picking up Grey Mondays from 2014 off a shelf for $20. But it's just that level good. And it's aged quite well. I've always been a staunch proponent of, your barrel or your long-term cellar aging beers. The more components you add, the worse it is. I mean, it's kind of a factual thing, barrel aging, things can go sideways. Hazelnuts, things can go sideways. Typically, your bottle conditioned capped bottles are going to be the best ones that age, but something like this with this high ABV, it just has to age well. Carbonation aside, perfect world, it's a little bit more carbonated, but carbonation aside, it just ends up being absolutely epically fantastic, rich, decadent, and bold, and exactly what you want from something of this ilk. Listen, you're getting on a roller coaster, you're getting on this ride. It's 18.5%. It's 8 years old. You kind of hope this is the ride you go on, Could it be a little bit better? In a perfect world, yes, but I think it would be a little bit nitpicky. The ceiling on this, if we're going to go to like a draft, NBA, NFL draft kind of talking head point, the floor on this, I think, is extremely high, and the ceiling on this is extremely high. So I don't think these are going to be bad by any stretch of the imagination. Can it be a little bit better? Sure, but I mean, you're really up there in the stratosphere, so, in general, and end up with a big, burly 18.5%. That in mind, barrel-aged behemoth that has held up epically fantastic in these 8 years. Yeah, just a great beer. Great beer. And since I had these quite a bit, like I said, back in the day, 14, 15, 16, a lot of memories. A lot of memories flooding back. Very good memories, let's put it that way. And a very tasty beer. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to post this. When am I going to post this? Tomorrow, maybe? I posted... My screen is going dark. I got to set my Mac up, right? I just got a Mac, and I'm trying to get it to... do the things I want it to do. And I don't want the screen to go to sleep that quickly. So, we're back. And, yeah, probably post this soon. I just posted an old beer review today, so I won't get this up tonight, but maybe this weekend. And, we're a month away from Beertube-a-Palooza. I think I'm going to grab a couple of these older bottles and bring up to the boys and see what they have to think about them. And, yeah. Fun beer to share, even though this one's probably going straight to my dome. Not tonight. It's Thursday. I will be drinking this over several days. That's why I was looking for a little cappy thing. Anyway, longer. It's delicious. Let's talk about it. Is it one of the better barrel-aged stouts I've had as late? Yes. Mount Rushmore stouts? Yeah, it is. It honestly is. It's just that good. But, to find something like this for $20 off shelf, hell yeah. All day on this. Just let's talk about it. What are your thoughts on the brewery? I'm really curious. I pop off some of these older brewery bottles every now and then. And I'm curious what y'all think, Do they hold any cachet with you any longer? Were you part of the semi-old guard that was a Hoarder Society person or something along those lines, to where this is a brewery that you kind of coveted back in the day? And where do they sit for you now as far as popularity or want or whatnot? Have you had this beer previously? Have you had this year or close to this year recently? And what did you think? Let's talk about brewery. We'll talk about it down there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Hopefully you're enjoying some old beer right now. That'd be great. We'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.